that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah. Open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AoA Show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with my boys, Isaiah.
Yo, yo, yo.
And Gavin.
What's good?
I didn't know how many yo's you were going to throw in there. He's
know.
like,
Those
yo,
three.
yo, yo.
It was at a different pitch and everything.
Yeah, it's like Morse
you were
code.
going
I always fuck with the length of each yo, but it's always only 3 yos.
Watch, there's going to be one where Ian's transitioning to me and you're going to be like, wait, yo. Just go there.
Anyway, we like to, you know what? This makes me harken back to when we first started this podcast, and I would come up with a different intro every single episode that we just had the mic plopped in front of us. And it would be something different every time. Like the one time I rapped lyrics to Lil Wayne. The one time I did the thing from Fat Albert.
The first video we've ever made, literally the first, like, as soon as you click it, it goes, hey, MFers, how you doing? Like, it literally just, like, within the first minute just
I
went
recited
off.
Wheezy lyrics.
Yeah,
Wheezy. Welcome to the show. Anyway, what are we talking about today? We are talking about fall anime and manhwa, which are anime anyway. It's all anime. These fall anime that are coming this fall, and which ones that we are excited for, which ones we hopefully plan on watching or covering on the show. So definitely want to tune in for that to see what we're most likely going to be talking about and why we're excited for these specific anime. But you know the drill. As always, if you guys enjoy the video, if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy listening today, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of today's episode? What did you think of our discussion? What anime are you excited for this fall? Also, refer to the description where we have links to our Patreon page if you wanted to support the channel. We have links to our Discord, community Discord, if you wanted to hop in there and conversate with all the brilliant people that are in the Discord already. We also have merch now, which is awesome, and I'll say it every time now as part of the plug. So definitely pick up your awesome AoA merch. We have everything from socks to pillows to hoodies to leggings, everything. Literally everything. Go on
wall
there.
tapestries.
Yeah, wall tapestries, you name it. Like everything AoA'd out. So if you want to go buy some merch, definitely if you want to support the channel, you can go to refer to the link there. You can hit us up on social media, either for the show or on our personals as well, if you want to keep up to date with the show or with us personally. And you could listen to us on those audio-only platforms if you're not already. If you have to go to work, you're driving in your car, you're doing household chores, whatever the case might be, and you can't watch us on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on all those audio-only platforms. But anyway, without further ado, Gavin, are you okay?
No, I just get it. I get in my own head and I come up with these crazy, you know me, I come up with crazy stuff and I'm like thinking we should come up with our own lingerie like line. And it's like A and like O where the crotch is and then A on the other hip. And I'm just like, I'm literally like
Gavin,
going
I want to
through,
yell
all
at
right.
you, but it's not the worst idea you've had.
Yeah.
And a Speedo, like, come
it's
on.
Not,
it's
not the worst thing that's been pitched. Definitely not the worst. It's
Just
not
saying.
great,
Or a
but
cape.
it's not.
Yo, that'd be pretty dope. All right, see, look, I'm just...
Anyway, let's get into the episode here. So, fall anime, we're going to start it off with Jujutsu Kaisen. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. It's just like jujitsu, but replacing a couple letters there. This one has been pretty hyped, and this is a manhwa, right? If I'm not mistaken. I lied to everyone. I have no clue. I thought I heard through the grapevine that it was, but maybe I have this mixed up with something else. We know that Noblesse is on this list, and that is a manhwa as well. But regardless, this is one that's been hyped up. Basically, the short synopsis here: in a world where demons feed on unsuspecting humans, fragments of the legendary and feared demon Ryomon Sukuna were lost and scattered about. Should any demon consume Sukuna's body parts, the power they gain could destroy the world as we know it. Fortunately, there exists a mysterious school of jujutsu sorcerers who exist to protect the precarious existence of the living from the undead. Yuji, of course, is a high schooler who spends his days visiting his bedridden grandfather. Although he looks like your average teenager, his immense physical strength is something to behold. Every sports club wants him to join, but Itadori would rather hang out with his school outcasts in the occult club. One day, the club manages to get their hands on a sealed, cursed object, but little do they know the terror they'll unleash when they break the seal. Anyway, so I saw the trailer to this recently. Did you guys see the trailer to it?
I saw the trailer.
Did you see the
Yeah,
trailer,
I
Gavin?
actually did.
Yeah, this one looked pretty fire for the fights. I mean, it's got your pretty basic thing going on where it's like, oh, like world-threatening thing. I'm your average 16-year-old high school student who's also just ripped out of his mind for Lord knows what reason, but we're here, and then stumbles upon said thing and now finds himself in this ridiculous adventure. But the the fight scenes look sweet, and I like the animation as well.
Studio Mappa is
And I was just putting in work over here.
Yeah, for real, dude. It feels like every anime coming out, it's like, Mappa's doing it.
I didn't even hear of them like before, a couple months ago when we were covering some of these shows, and now I feel like they've just done everything. I'm like, okay, these are it. This is where it is. But I mean, high hopes, especially again for choreographed fight scenes, because we know from the God of High School, one thing that they are really strong with is their choreographed fight scenes, right? And just their animation in general for the most part. So that's something I'm very excited for. Did you guys have thoughts on this one?
I am a little weary of it because of all the hype that I've heard about it. Not that I think it's going to be bad per se, but of all the hype that I've heard from it, most of it seems to be around the fact that like there's going to be dope fights in it. And like it's just starting to, the wound, I guess, of God of High School is still not scabbed over yet. So I'm like, okay, but what else is there? But I will definitely, I'll keep my ear to the ground, or to Twitter more specifically. And if it checks out.
Yeah, and for me, it depends on more how the premise unfolds, because it honestly, it does seem very generic in terms of like scattered fragments, school where you're going to learn everything. And like, obviously there's going to be consistencies with shows that you watch in general, but like, I want to hear if it breaks that mold and really is worth watching it and investing time into. Otherwise, I'll watch one of the 250,000 other shows out there that do it just as good. So we'll have to keep an eye on it.
This is one of those shows that, like a lot of other ones are like, okay, I'll give this like a 2-3 episode buffer. And then from there, I'm going to see, like, do I really mess with this? Or I'm assuming, like, you know what? I'm assuming it's something, like, if, popular demand requests it, that we will at least look into to talk about, even if it's for an episode or 2 or 3. And if we like it, we go from there. If not, whatever. But I'm not like, this is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. Wait until we get to, like, winter anime, and then I'll tell you the ones that I've been waiting for personally. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I have hopes, though. I've heard good things, so hopefully it lives up to those standards.
Hopefully it does.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh, boy.
Yep, it's everyone's favorite vampire, and it's going to be with the show Noblesse. So a lot of you probably already know the premise of this, and if you have been watching us for a while, you'll know that we actually even did a read-through of the first 50 chapters of the webtoon. If I'm not mistaken, there's an OVA that is out or is coming out soon that will cover the entirety of the first season, and then when they pick up this show, it's out? Okay. And then when they pick up this show, it will be starting from the second season, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So we are not fully caught up, which is kind of annoying because I was like, dude, this is going to be the first webtoon where we're ahead of the curve. And then it's like, no, we're doing that. Yeah. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, this was a really cool story, even from the 50 chapters that we read so far.
Yeah.
And I kind of do want to see this OVA. I definitely want to see this OVA if we're going to watch the show, to see how it does and, what, gets fleshed out beyond where we were. Because it was pretty interesting stuff and very comical, very funny.
And I've heard the OVA was actually really good. Yeah. So that's another thing.
I think when we did the live read through, I was definitely impressed with the quality of the story out the gate, right? Because it is a very slow paced story, and it does take a while for the wheels to really start turning and shit hit the fan. But until that moment happens, you are supplemented with definitely enough of other things to carry you over, i.e. the comedy, i.e. the characters, and everything sort of still works to keep you engaged until we get to moments where vampires are transforming and shooting, whatever the fuck. I'm definitely excited for this.
Yeah, This is gonna be a cool one.
All right, what do we got up next?
Ooh, all right, next, this was one I picked. I'm sure many older anime fans, are huge Inuyasha fans, and so when we heard that Inuyasha was getting a sequel anime, there was nothing else to talk about. This looks pretty fucking dope. So I'm actually gonna read the synopsis from my phone here. So synopsis is: the daughters of Sesshomaru and Inuyasha set out on a journey transcending time. In feudal Japan, half-demon twins Towa and Setsuya are separated from each other during a forest fire. While desperately searching for her younger sister, Towa wanders into a mysterious tunnel that sends her into present-day Japan, where she's found and raised by Kagome Higashiri's brother, Sota, and his family. 10 years later, the tunnel then connects the two eras that have reopened, allowing Towa to be reunited with Setsuya, who is now a demon slayer working for Kohaku. But to Towa's shock, Setsuo appears to have lost all memories of her older sister. Joined by Moara, the daughter of Inuyasha and Kagome, the three young women travel between the two eras on an adventure to regain their missing past. So it seems like, obvious it's a sequel, that it's picking up X years after the events of Inuyasha. And you guys don't know, but anybody who has watched Inuyasha knows that effectively at the end of Inuyasha, we sort of, at least seemingly, had like sort of quelled the whole main conquest, which was basically like Inuyasha and his gang versus Kohaku and the demons. So it's interesting to see that, like, I guess in that time gap, it weirdly reminds me of like Star Wars almost, where it's like even after both main sides have like fought and they've like there's been a victory and like the battle seems to be over, there's like still some sort of resurgence happening, right, from the enemy side, from Kohaku side. But it's interesting that we're doing the flip this time, because in Inuyasha, the original show, it was the opposite, where Kagome, who was the main character, started in present-day Japan, and like the wishing well, which was her main like method of transportation, takes her back into like this feudal Japan era like world where Inuyasha and all the demons and stuff live. So now it seems that we're flipping on its head, where that world that they're from is where, because obviously Kagome and Inuyasha live there now, like that's the world that these kids are from, and this tunnel is what takes them back into present-day Japan. And so we're kind of doing like a flip of the original story.
It's like a weird Little Mermaid spin, where it's like initially the mermaid wants to become the human, but then in the sequel, the human wants to become a mermaid.
Bro,
that's where
I'm gonna level with you. I've never seen The Little Mermaid, and I've never been more disappointed in like you in my entire life. Never been more disappointed.
I've not seen it enough to
go mow the lawn or something like that. All right,
I'm fine, dude. I'll do it.
Uncultured.
Look, all I'm gonna say is I'm super pumped for this. I'm sure everybody who is an Inuyasha fan is pumped for this, because when it was announced, the internet respectfully lost its mind over it.
That I do.
And like it just looks cool. All the characters, especially the main three, like have enough of the original cast members in it to sort of like give that that little injection of nostalgia for us fans of Inuyasha. But it's like these characters definitely do, at least from the trailers and stuff that I've seen, like feel new and like unique enough, and they have like their own set of agendas and their own priorities and stuff. So
interesting.
I'm definitely pumped for this.
No, that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I just got to watch the other actual show first. All right.
Yeah. All right. So
hit us with the next one.
Of course. You all know.
There had to be one.
You all know that every season I love to find me whichever anime is new that's coming out on the list that is basically cute anime girls do X thing, right? Whether it's working out, whether it's learning to read, whatever, right? This one is rock climbing. Now, I don't like rock climbing at all, but I will be damned if I don't watch at least 6 episodes of whatever this is, because cute anime girls can get me to watch them do anything.
Funny enough, I actually like rock climbing, and that's why I didn't actually click on this to look at it.
I'm
And
not
I'm reading
gonna
the
lie.
synopsis, and I'm like, actually, I could watch this probably.
Literally,
'Cause
yeah,
it's probably
I'm in the
gonna
same
be
boat as
something
Gavin,
cool.
like for the complete opposite reason.
Yeah.
I could see watching, because rock
Exactly.
climbing is very interesting to me.
So I'm going to read the synopsis here.
Sure.
So we have Konami Kashura, a junior high school girl, has made a big name after winning numerous competitive puzzle game tournaments. The story begins when she finds a sports climbing club in her high school. Using special skills other than that of puzzle games, Kashihara becomes fascinated with climbing.
That's an interesting transition.
Antics ensue.
Puzzle games to rock climbing.
It's I don't really know
That's
how
interesting.
we're going to get from point A to point B, but I'm going to be honest, I really don't think it matters. This just from the poster, this show clearly knows how to advertise itself. It knows what it's about. Like my popcorn will be ready.
No, I feel I can see a correlation there, because rock climbing is very much like knowing your way around the actual structure. So like it literally is like you're solving a puzzle as you're climbing,
Sure,
and if you can fuck up, you can back out. So like depending on how hard the wall actually is, but
That's fair.
That's
I
actually
just kind of
cool.
want to see
No,
cute,
it was just
muscly
interesting.
anime
Yeah.
girls do rock climbing.
that and this actually brought a thought to my mind where a studio should animate, like, Free Solo the movie. Have you guys ever heard of it?
Nope.
It's literally like it's like a documentary of a guy's expedition climbing. I don't remember what.
I know, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what mountain he climbed, but literally, like, this guy, no ropes, no anything, just, like, he free climbed a fucking mountain, and he, like, he recorded the entire, like, it's a documentary. And, like, that documentary is sick, and I can see that almost, like, in an anime form, with, like, a group of people, like, free solo climbing a mountain, like, that you can have some cool nature shots and other stuff.
Huh.
Somebody
That's pretty cool.
direct that. I'll
Would
get
there
royalties.
be cute anime girls in it though?
looks like there is.
There'll be me. So you'll be and Coon.
Okay.
Fine.
10 out of 10.
Isaiah 101. Ed Coon.
Listen, rock climbers are ripped though. So if that's your
Bro,
cup of
that's
tea,
what I'm
They are
saying.
ripped.
Look at this poster.
you have to be shredded.
She could break my skull with those arms, bro. And I kind of want her to.
Okay, we're moving on.
All
Nah,
right.
Ian, talk
So
about
this
your
is one that I'm not gonna lie, the cover looked cool. So this one was literally that is the only reason I'm like
thumbnail
that-
sell,
Like
dude.
Isaiah,
thumbnail
stop going
sell.
after things based off of just appeal. This poster is pretty dope, though.
literally. Yeah, that's how you know thumbnails work.
Yep.
Clickbait's a real thing, but this one's I can't even pronounce it. It's called Teso Samurai.
I think if you
Teso
scroll down a little
Samurai.
bit, Gavin, under alternative titles.
Teso,
you'll be able to-
Teso
yeah.
Samurai.
There you go.
Oh, with a okay, with a Z. So anyway, Teso Samurai, year 2002, Japan's gymnastics world was once strong. Former Japanese representative Shotaro Aragaki, dude, damn it, 29, who devoted his time to gymnastics, was unable to perform as expected. Even so, after training on a daily basis, his coach recommends him to retire. However, the fate of his family will change significantly due to a certain encounter. So it seems like he has to make this comeback thing, you know what I mean? Now that he's 29, he hasn't been able to make it, essentially putting his heart, body, and soul into this. And now, you know, that everything's push comes to shove. It's like, it's here. I don't know what this event is, but it seems like he's got to go for it, no matter the cost. And I find that, to be fair, after looking at the thumbnail, I did read the synopsis and it did looked interesting. But the reason is because I think it's very inspiring, this one in particular. And not to knock the rock climbing one, but I'm just using this as an example. Like if I take this as compared to the rock climbing one, in my opinion, as a viewer, you know, like anime girls is one thing, you know, like everyone's got their thing to sell it. I like this one because of the fact that he's not just doing it to do it. Like there's stakes, right? There's like a lot of stakes involved. And there could be stakes in the example I used or whatever, but it's like backs against the wall and it's very inspiring. Especially I relate a lot of these ones that have this dilemma with them as their issue, like as to what we do. I'm not going to lie. Like a lot of times when I see things like this and it's, you know, we are in our mid-20s and we've decided this is what we want to do. And there is every person out there, you know, there are plenty of people that are saying, well, that's ridiculous, or that's just a hobby, or you're not going to do that, or like, how about you get a real job, or like all this kind of stuff. But we're here 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes more, you know, putting in that work 24/7 because we want this to be a reality. We need this to be a reality. And, you know, time doesn't stop moving. So, you know, we're doing everything we can. And I find that especially it's inspiring because this guy seems to be in a similar scenario where he is 29. And even his coach is like, dude, you gave it a good run. You should probably, probably
pack
quit.
it in.
But it's like, you know, to him, there is no other option. It's like, I can't quit. I'm not going to quit. And I'm still going to give it everything I can, you know, and I find that very inspiring. So if I were to watch like a sports one, you know what I mean? Because like that's something I've always wanted to dabble in. I know a lot of people are probably going to recommend haiku, if I pronounce that correctly, for the volleyball one, because I know that one's very popular. You know, which that might be one I get around to at some point. But again, in the realm of sports, something I wanted to try. This one struck me among the others that we saw as something interesting and somewhat inspiring.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because I a couple seasons ago, we had a anime called Smile Down the Runway come out, and it was a shonen anime about the fashion industry. And I think that was the last anime that, like, for me, officially put to bed the argument of, like, you can't make an anime out of this, or, like, you can't make a good, like, thrilling show out of this, like, you know, X subject or topic, because that's just not true. I mean, anime, like, has this, like, almost, like, intertwined ability to, like, pull, like, you know, suspense and, like, passion and inspiration out of any subject that it discusses. There's I don't know when it's coming out, a new anime that I like literally saw like a teaser for about skateboarding. And it looks dope. It's like, it kind of makes me want to try skateboarding. But it's like anything that anime, you know, like delves into, right? As long as it like does it with the sort of care and attention that like that X subject needs, it's gonna be dope.
Yeah, no, for sure.
What do we got?
What do we got?
Take it away.
That was you, Gavin.
So this is mine. Pronunciation is Tainguan Shifu. She. All right, we're gonna go with it. So the synopsis is, for you, I'll become invincible. Have you heard the rubbish heaven official is having an affair with the ghost realm's #1 big shot? 800 years ago, Lian was the crown prince of the Lian. Well, why am I confusing these? Zhanli Kingdom, one who was beloved by his citizens in the daring of the world. So unsurprised, he ascends to the heavens at a very young age. Now, 800 years later, we're just going to call him Lian, ascends to the heavens for the third time as the laughing stock of all 3 realms. One of his first tasks as a god, he meets a mysterious demon who rules the ghosts and terrifies the heavens. Yet, unbeknownst to Lian, the Demon King has been paying attention for him for a very, very long time. So, for me, honestly... Sorry, I was reading that kind of retarded. Like, it cut off on my screen, so I'm going back and forth. I'm at a horrible angle. But either way, honestly, the synopsis just sounded cool. Like, I really like the time skip similar to Noblesse when, like, it's 800 years in the future and you just kind of plop in and it's like, now you got to kind of scramble and figure out what's going on. And obviously, he has notoriety to the kingdom, obviously. And now that he's a laughingstock and going through all these things, like it sounded like something that could be funny yet serious, which I really like in anime. And I looked at the preview, the trailer, if anybody has seen it, and it actually looked like decently animated. So that was one that I gotta say I'm looking forward to personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ian's like studying.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's going on from the synopsis. I'm not gonna lie, I just reread it like 3 times.
He's like, there's a.
Why is he?
person on
Why
the
is he the
poster.
third? Why is it the 3rd time that he's in heaven? Said he already went to heaven. I'm confused. 800 years
He keeps
ago,
on ascending.
like
you gotta
are there
watch the
levels
show
of
to
heaven?
find out.
I guess I don't know. I'm thoroughly confused.
He's like, just tell me what happens. I don't want to.
Why are there? Why has he been to heaven 3 times? But he was. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know. He's
Maybe it's
God.
hard to
I don't
get
know,
in.
something or whatever
I'm just
he is.
confused. Is all I'm saying.
I'm just confused.
I need something. Give me the Spark Notes version if you watch it.
The Spark Notes version.
Spark Notes version.
All right, what do we got?
Oh, so then we have another one that's been on my list, which looks really dope. It's
Oh, I like this thumbnail.
Mojuge, and that's honestly what caught me in to begin with. Although childhood upbringing, family background, social relations, traumatic experiences. We keep reviewing and seeking out the motives of criminals, exploring the subtlest emotions driving them. It's not to put ourselves in their shoes and sympathize or even forgive them. It's not to find some reasons to exculpate? Exculpate?
What?
Is that a word?
I don't
Exculpate?
know.
Oh, exculpate?
Exculpate? I never even heard of that
Never heard
word.
of it.
Exculpate their crimes. It's not to kneel down before the so-called complexity of human nature, nor to introspect social conflicts, much less to alienate ourselves into monsters. We just want to have a fair trial for ourselves and for those who, for who still have hope for the world.
Interesting. Hang on. Exculpate.
Exculpate. What does
Yeah,
it mean?
show or declare that someone is not guilty of wrongdoing. So, like, the article exculpated the mayor. So, basically, like, took you out at you
Yeah,
didn't do
yeah,
anything
yeah.
wrong. You're not
Got
guilty
you
of
out of
wrongdoing.
jail.
So if that word sums it up, this show seems very complex and interesting. And yeah, I don't know. I really like shows that kind of go in depth on like almost like psychology or like the inner workings of human minds and like why they make decisions that they do and things like that. And literally says in the synopsis, complexity of human nature. So, for me, you have me hooked to begin with. And the trailer for this looked absolutely amazing. So I was right. It was actually the first one that I came up with. That
Kind of
was
reminds
on
me
the list.
of just off the synopsis anyway. What's the one anime where it's like the dude goes into his own mind or other people's minds to solve murders?
ID invaded?
ID
Was it
invaded.
that one?
Yeah, maybe right where it's got like this whole like we're like doing a deep dive into like the psyche of criminals to find out like,
Yeah,
what makes them
that
tick
is
and
ID
why they do what they do.
That was
yeah,
an
yeah,
interesting
yeah.
show.
Yeah,
that
that's,
really
I'm kind
was.
of getting
Yeah, it was cool.
those vibes. From
This
that.
actually seems sick. I totally glanced past this one. And first of all, thumbnail grabbed me. Second of all, this synopsis seems really cool. And one thing I actually appreciate as maybe a subtle thing with this is that they put emphasis on the fact that it says it's not to put ourselves in their shoes and sympathize or even to forgive them. It's not to find some reasons to exculpate their crimes. It's not to kneel down before the so-called complexity of human nature, nor to introspect social conflicts, much less to alienate ourselves into monsters. I like that a lot. I like that message a lot because I feel like there are shows or, people that or whatever. And it's like, there's always like this precedent that's put on, you know, like killers and criminals and things like that. And it's like, well, exploring the mind, like they're very interesting and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, fair to an extent, but I feel like a lot of people immortalize criminals in a sense because of that. And it's like a lot of times that you see history remember the names of those that were wrong, you know what I mean, in the sense, and like for the like evil atrocities that they did. And you know, off the top of your head, I guarantee you could name like 5 evil people right off the top of your head, right? And like a lot of times I think it's good to know that, you know, because you don't want to repeat the same mistake. So there's that. But I feel like a lot of times those people get immortalized, and I don't think that's what it should be. And that goes for like a lot of these shows a lot of times where it's like not that Criminal Minds does this, but like your Criminal Mind like shows, you know, where it's like kind of immortalized, like you're almost rooting for the killer sometimes in a sense, depending on who you are and like how they set the context up. And I think I liken this that it's like, no. This is nothing to glorify. This is nothing to exempt them from the things they've done. This is nothing to give them an excuse. These people are evil, and we are strictly doing this, you know what I mean, to try and get to the bottom of how to not repeat this again. And I know that seems kind of obvious, you know, like when you do things like this, but I feel like that's not always how it's perceived by people. So that's something that I appreciate this show puts a precedent on. That's my personal takeaway.
I think it's interesting because I kind of feel like, though, like that precedent is usually, I mean, done well, granted, is done like because there's a fascination behind it, right? There's like a natural curiosity of like, well, yeah, I want to understand what makes this criminal tick, because I want to know what would drive a person to make this decision. What would cause a person, a human brain, to do the things that, you know, X person has done. And so I feel like if you are going, you know, however far, I mean, just off the thumbnail again, like I'm assuming we're going to some pretty lengthy extremes
sure, yeah.
To do said research and to get into these criminals' minds, but it's not to like find out why they do what they do, or it's not in the name of like curiosity and questioning, but like to almost prove how messed up they are in the first place. It's like you're kind of running a lap that like in that regard you don't need to.
So
you know?
I would say that that's not it at all, though, based off of the, I mean, again, we haven't seen the show, but I would say based off the synopsis, I think that you are correct in the sense that what makes it interesting is the fascination, but I think that you could have a fascination with it without glorifying it. And I think that's where the term with not you, but a lot of people out there, the fascination and the curiosity borderlines praise. In a sense, right? And like the way that they do some of these things. And these are the people that get immortalized in history as what they do. Cause it's like, oh, it's so interesting. It's crazy. Like, why do they do this? I don't know. Why do some people pick up their poop and throw it at people? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a whole show and immortalize the guy who did that, but that's equally as crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think that
because I think it's like, again, like for that example, it's like, nobody really cares what was going on in the guy's mind who threw poop. But it's like if this guy killed 19 people but held down 3 jobs and was like the CEO, you know what I mean? Like there's complexity in this guy's mind. Like he's not just crazy or doing things because of the sake of doing
I would like to say the guy that flings poop may have been able to hold down 3 jobs. I'm just saying. Saying.
Either way, though, the point stands where it's like, I feel like the line's a little bit bolder. It's not so thin between immortalizing. Like you have to go extra steps to immortalize, where it's like fascination is just like, this person does and did everything that you and I can do, but like also was like successfully hiding, lying, and like killing people for X amount of years. And it's like, I think the fascination is almost in its own camp of like, yeah, I want to know what makes this. I want to know.
Which I agree. I'd like to again to restate. Not that I'm saying. I'm just so everyone's aware. Like I'd like to say that I agree with that.
Right.
All I'm saying is that sometimes it could be dangerous, and sometimes in shows when they purvey the fascination and the complexity and the wow, how'd you do this? It's almost like it becomes a borderline glorification of it from certain shows that I've seen. It's not all the time.
Even then,
but you know,
like with that, because I've actually read a lot about that topic. A lot like that mindset of fascination also comes with the media in itself. And it doesn't really necessarily involve the fascination of their mindset. It's more just like a literal fascination of these people are on TV. They're getting so much like the publicity isn't crazy. They have like 8 different nicknames, you know, all this stuff. And that like builds and gives people reason. Like, I want to be like him. I want to be this famous. I want to like do that, you know? And it's like a culmination of many things, but it just sounded pretty dope.
No,
and
it does.
Like,
it looks really cool.
Fucking,
yeah. Next one on the list is none other than the Demon Slayer movie, Kimetsu no Yaiba movie, Mugen Rasahen, basically the train arc. And now being that we have read the manga, we know what's going on. It kind of makes me that much more excited for this movie. Because wow, if you guys have not read the manga, this may be one of the best arcs. This may be one of the best arcs. In my personal opinion, it's like top 2, top 3 for like if not the best arc in my personal opinion in the entire story. And it's just incredible. I'm hoping that I know they will. They're going to animate this. It's going to be great, and I'm super excited for it.
We didn't. We didn't. I know we didn't, and I didn't read the manga prior to Demon Slayer, the anime getting adapted. Yeah. So comparisons, so we went into the anime first, right? Mm-hmm. So seeing what Ufotable was capable of doing and the kind of thing that they were able to produce, just out the gate. Is once we read the manga and we went all the way through, it's that story there is so unique and interesting and just fun to read and go through that we would finish I would finish a couple chapters and I'm like, yo, when this has some animation behind it, especially specifically the animation that I remember from season 1, it's over. This is good. This movie is. I'm curious though, because as somebody who's read the manga and this is your spoiler warning for anybody who is not caught up on the manga, specifically past this arc. I'm curious, how much the movie is actually going to cover, because in the manga, the Mugen train arc is technically, it's from when they get on the train basically to when the fight between Rangoku and I'm forgetting his name, the third upper rank.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. But
it starts with an A. I think it's Asoku or Asaka or something. I don't know. When that fight ends, right? That's in the manga. That's the end of the Mugen train arc. Yeah. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, but this is a movie, so we're expecting something in the realm of 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours. So I'm curious as to is any of this arc going to be stretched out maybe to fill that time, or are they actually going to maybe take a little bit of that interlude between the Mugen train arc and the the village arc?
I think they might do that because again, spoiler, when I'll try and be vague, but when Tanjiro visits the father, you know what I mean? And that takes place obviously after the fight for a little bit before they do a time skip. So I would assume they include that in there as well. Okay,
maybe.
If I had to guess.
Because then I'm also assuming, obviously, this movie is going to be canon, and so that the next season of Demon Slayer, which is eventually going to happen, will just kick up right after the movie, which will probably go into that, the village arc with the sibling demons and stuff. But I mean, I can't wait. I just want to see where they're going to go with it, what they're going to do with it. If there's going to be any anime-only specific changes that they make, maybe, because Demon Slayer, at least again from what we know of season 1. Didn't really fuck with, the story much at all in terms of pacing and stuff. So I'm curious to see, what comes out of it, but I know it's going to be dope.
Yeah. I also just realized too that the Demon Slayer logo is very similar to our logo. Do you notice that?
Yeah, it looks like they obviously stole our
Wow, Demon Slayer
for a logo.
Fuck you up.
That's not really cool.
Listen, I'm honored that they would come to us for that inspiration.
For all Just knock on the door. We are the AoA show. We like all your money. All right. What do we got?
Come again?
Burn the Beach.
All right. Next
Burn the Beach.
Yes, wait, where's Ryu? I don't see her.
That's exactly what it's called, Gavin. Burn the Beach.
Surprised Ian didn't get mad at that one.
What?
So where's Ryu?
Why would Ian get?
Who?
Ryu? Is that her name? The redhead. Ryun. Yeah, where is she?
Because witch. If you had gotten the name right, that would have been hilarious. What I say? You said Ryu or Rio. It's Ryun.
Oh, Ryun.
Let's just talk about Burn the Witch.
Yeah, Ryun.
I gotta say,
we are talking about Burning the
Witch. Let's talk about Burning the Witch.
Okay. So Burn the Witch. So all right, let me get the synopsis here for y'all. Synopsis. Historically, 72% of all deaths in London are related to dragons, fantastical beings invisible. That's a real fact. Fantastical beings invisible to the majority of people. While unknown to most, some people have been standing up to these dragons. Only inhabitants of Reverse London, who live in the hidden reverse side of London, can see the dragons. Even then, only a selected few become qualified enough as witches or wizards to make direct contact with them. The protagonists of the story are a witch duo, Noelle Nihashi and Nini Spangle. They are the protection agents for Wingbind. That's crazy. An organization for dragon conservation and management. Their mission is to protect and manage the dragons within London on behalf of the people.
Gavin found that very funny. The spangle.
Well, I after looking at it, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize it's Spankle. I thought you said like Spankle, and I'm like Nini Spankle. I'm like Nini Spank. Like I don't know. That just kind of popped in my head.
That's nice, sweetie. Anyway, this anime is pretty dope because it is confirmed to take place in the same universe that Bleach is from. So and essentially like Bleach happens in Japan. This is in London. So this is like they are the it's weird that like they talk about and reference like witches and wizards and stuff, because if you think about like Harry Potter, it's essentially like the London version, of the Soul Society.
Sure.
Because I mean it operates much in the same way. So I'm interested to see like how many direct ties there are to, because this isn't something like the Inuyasha sequel where it's like those are like the daughters of like Ichigo and Orihime, and like they're doing like this is if all the events of Bleach happened like here, Burn the Witch happens like here, you know what I mean? Like it's in the same world, but they're completely literally isolated by a body of water. So I'm interested to see like what elements from Bleach carry over, if any, how much of like what happened in Bleach like ends up making an impact on this. And I'm curious to learn about how this work, how London's version of this, I guess, or even their version of the Soul Society, if that's what you want to call it, operates, because it sort of seems to be the same way, where it's like basically you have your your witches and wizards who live in the reverse London, which, like, again, for anybody who's watched Bleach, it's that is it's the equivalent of the Soul Society, where it's like it exists, but only Soul Reapers can go there and see it. Sure. To normal people, it doesn't even look, you don't see anything. So yeah, and I'm curious to know. I know there is, I believe, a manga that came out for it, or either just a manga, or it's like a manga and or an OVA that sort of like delves a little bit into the the characters' backstories and a little bit of lore that takes place before the actual events of like this movie kicks off. So I'm curious to see, I'm just curious to see how much of this, I guess, is connected to Bleach, but at the same time, like what the sort of, specific intricacies of like this reverse London, world or whatever, what it's about.
Yeah. Interesting. That's rough. 72% of deaths.
Yeah.
That's quite
That's a lot of deaths by dragons.
Yeah.
I just want to throw out any movie that references London always has a fucking picture of Big Ben in like the clip and like, what do they call it, the thumbnail? Like,
it's like the most
it pisses me off.
It's
because
the most
it's like
this is we're in London. Like, you know what I mean?
I know,
like,
but
you
I'm like,
see it and people know you're in London.
Like, do something else. I don't know.
It's like in France. Like, what, you're not gonna put the Eiffel Tower in the background? Like, that's like
no, but like when you look up London and all you see is like 18 movies and all of them have Big Ben in it. It's like I get the picture at this point.
Dude, Big Ben's looking good. What can I say?
Big Ben's looking good, he says.
Represents London.
Okay. Oh,
Gavin picked this one, didn't he?
I did.
Yep.
What gave that away?
Wow. Okay.
A weird ass thumbnail or the weird ass name?
Whoa. First off, the thumbnail is what caught my eyes.
Our viewers don't have
look, dog. I can't fucking read it. That's the hard part. I can't read it when I do this.
It's just like, hang on, let me go on 40 times Zoom real quick to see where we are.
No, because it's actually
you
not
read it and then
optimized.
zoom in. You're good. You're good.
Can you still read it right now?
I can read it. Yeah.
But I don't have to read it.
How about now? Oh, how about
Can you read it?
No, can I read it?
Would you like me to read it?
No, I can read it. Okay. The name is I'm not even going to try to find it. Pompeii.
It's
That's
down
the
in
Spark
English.
note.
Pompeii.
It's in English. Pupele of Chimney Town. Ooh, I like that. All right. So the synopsis is: there is a town surrounded by a wall that stands 4,000 meters tall. Because the town is full of chimneys, the air is always full of smoke. No one in the town knows what the sky looks like. On one night at the town's Halloween festival, a delivery man accidentally drops the heart he is supposed to deliver. He cannot find the heart in the smoke and gives up. The heart continues to beat where it fell in the town of Chimneys. So I
need context here. You had me until he dropped the heart he was supposed to deliver.
Obviously, there's a very complicated organ delivery system at work here. I don't know what you're so confused about.
Yeah, and honestly, so my takeaway after reading that was, one, what is going on? And two, I've never heard of anything like this. And those are two boxes that if you tick for me, I'm immediately intrigued because I like the outside of the box, weird, wonky shit. And this is like one of the definitions of it. It kind of reminds me of a movie called City of Ember, if anybody has ever watched it. And I really like that movie.
I read the book. I didn't watch the movie.
Oh, you read the book?
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's like a civilization that lives underground that's never seen the light of day, and they have literal like light bulbs like that create a sky almost, and there's like blackouts and all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's like a whole big
dope.
thing, and it reminded me that in a sense where it's just like
I can see that.
like all chimneys everywhere, they can't see the sky, you know, like what's going on, and it's like that journey or endeavor, I'm guessing, to get out of it, and then they throw in a delivery man and a heart beeping or beating. That to me just sounds really cool, interesting, something I never heard of. So
Yeah,
I am
the first
definitely
part here with the
it.
town being surrounded by a giant wall immediately gives me like Promised Neverland vibes.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Yeah.
well, gotta know what's on the other side of this wall now, because you know, I guess it's something worth keeping all these people sectioned in off of. And I don't know. Yeah, it seems pretty. I don't want to say typical, but like it seemed. I was like reading the synopsis along with you, and I'm like, all right, everything is good. And then like it, I feel like it's so typical of these kinds of anime where they're like, yeah. So there's this town, and like there's smoke everywhere, nobody can see. This guy's delivering a heart, and he drops the heart. Anyway, see it when it comes out. And it's like, whoa, go back to that. What was happening with the heart?
I'm wondering if the heart is symbolism for something. Like it's not a literal heart that and it's like beating. It's wordplay. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's a
something
literal heart.
You think so?
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
it
know.
could. Either way, crazy.
I think it's a literal heart, but I think that heart does have symbolism in its sense. Like,
they wouldn't put it in there if it was.
But I also got to add what caught me. Look at this man's drip, dude. It is a little boy wearing a top hat and a bow tie and fucking
Actually, it looks like a
suspenders.
London setting again, sort of.
We're not going to think about that. But,
old
like,
London setting, yeah, absolutely.
Adorable. I respect it. Have nothing but the top tier quality clothing. So you bet.
I don't know, man. It's really hard after we've gotten as far as we have in the Tower of God for me to look at other characters and be like, that's some drip. Instead, it's like,
Bro, he's rocking a top hat and a bow tie, and he looks like he's 5 years old, even though he's probably 72.
I'm
and,
just saying, my man,
grown with
she's
8 kids. Bro, no, in anime, you age, you can't tell. Look at a Nox, she's 300. Come on, like, or more.
I'm just saying, bro.
Can you
Kill me.
spare some change? Get away, kid. What are you, 5? I'm actually 72, mate. Just punch him in the balls.
I got 8 kids, and I'm...
Crazy.
Yeah.
I know. Great character.
I don't know.
Great character, but I'm telling you,
This
dude.
actually looks very interesting to me. Again, Gavin, you've done it where you will kind of pique my very abstract side of my mind side where I like sometimes the moon and the sun will align, and that would be me and Gavin, and we like kind of hit on something. You've hit it twice this time with that criminal one, and especially with this. This looks very different, and I really like that. You know, we see every time your typical high school student, incredibly strong, fights demons. You know, high school student is a whiz at this, becomes a whiz at this. High school student does this like you know what I mean? Like checking the thing. This town with 4,000 meter high walls and smoke so thick you can't even see the sky. You know what I mean? Like, by the way, the guy dropped a heart on his way to deliver something. Like, you got me. You know what I mean? Like I'm in. Like
That's what I'm saying.
It looks really cool.
And shout out if anybody knows shows like what me and Ian described, like very weird, abstract, like that stuff that you really don't
that
see
are
or come
good,
across.
Sometimes very hit or miss.
Yeah.
Sometimes like this show could be absolutely terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
You know what I mean?
Like,
but it could be
conceptually,
really cool.
it just sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd be intrigued and I'd watch
pompous
them
ass
if you guys
motherfuckers.
recommend
Yeah.
them.
Do you know what it is with this show that I like, and I feel like what we were saying kind of goes into one word. They're not taking the safe route. From what you know what I mean? If I could describe it in one sentence, they're not going the safe route. Like a lot of other shows, like I just described, your standard, you know, hit all the check bar. Like that's safe. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, not that any of the shows are going to be bad or I don't know, you know, but I'm just using this as an example. Like, okay, Mappa's on it. You know what I mean? We know the animation's going to be sweet. We're hitting all the same criteria. They're cut from the same cloth, what we need. You know what I mean? The show is safe. It's probably going to, you know, attract a lot of attention with that. It's not going to be anything to write home about, you know, but whatever. You know, this is not a safe route. You know, this is something that it's like, you know, first of all, getting people to even see it, you know what I mean, is one thing. I did not hear about this at all, and I wager I never would if it wasn't for Gavin and I and Isaiah going through this list and Gavin bringing this up. I never would have heard of this, and I never would have watched it, number one. So you're hitting such a smaller audience right off the bat. You know what I mean? And number two, being that it's so different, it could just go the total wrong way. It's not safe at all, but if it could be a hidden gem. And I respect creators and, you know, or anime creators and everyone on the team and all, you know, story writers and all that kind of stuff that are willing to, you know what I mean? Like make that plunge, that leap of faith on something that they're like, you know what, this is something that I think is gonna hit. And when it does, it's like there's some of the best shows out there, in my personal opinion. But anyway, that's my take on
keep
it.
it
Looks
posted.
cool. Yeah. Hopefully this does well.
I really hope so.
Gavin,
too.
you're not
I'm
going to watch
keep it
this.
I'll. I'm not even saying. I'm not even saying.
Oh.
I'm
Yo,
restricting.
what? Pet a goat?
No, I'll beat you with one. How about that? Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, folks, those are our thoughts on the fall 2020 anime that are coming out very soon. Bunch of exciting stuff. I'm very excited for the fact that I feel like anime is kind of ramping up again. I was saying, like, I enjoy the anime that we watch now, and I mean, Tower of God is, you know, do I even need to explain myself? But beyond that, it's been like, okay, we're kind of like coasting by, and like there have been some good things, but nothing besides Tower of God that I'm like, I can't wait for this to come back type thing. And I feel like now going into fall and into winter too, because we, you know, looked ahead at some of the winter ones, we're starting to get into some interesting stuff here. And I'm excited again where anime's going. And I'm excited to talk about these shows, whether it's something new or whether it's something that's just fantastic. I'm really excited for where this goes, you know. But anyway, folks, if you enjoyed our discussion, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of our discussion as a whole? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think of the shows that we've talked about, or any other ones that we may not have mentioned, because there was a whole huge list of them? What shows are you excited to watch and why? Yeah, let us know all your thoughts in those comments down below. But until next time, folks, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Later.
Peace.
Ninjas are samurais, blaze of the kunais. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls though, who like seeing parts fly.